guys, Bethany here from Pittering Blink today, and I had a request on Instagram to show you guys how I made this gratitude journal that I'm using for the month of November. I am participating in the Illustrated Faith Gratitude Documented Project. You can buy a journal from Illustrated Faith if you would like, and they're beautiful, but I wasn't going to be able to get mine in time to start, so I decided that I would actually just make my own and follow the prompts from the Illustrated Faith website. So I made this out of cardstock, and I made it so that I can use the prompts every day to write about things that I'm thankful for with the verses that Illustrated Faith has shared, and just do some journaling that way, just to keep in mind why I'm celebrating Thanksgiving at the end of the month and all the things that I'm thankful for. So to do this is really simple. I honestly think that anybody could do it, and you start by taking cardstock. You need 8 sheets if you want to do one for the month of November. That will give you a page for every day and a place for the cover and the back cover. So all you do is you take each piece of cardstock, and of course you fold it over. You can crease it with the back of your fingernail just to make sure that it stays flat. And as I said, you want to do 8 of these. Once you get 8 of them, you stack them all up. I've done that here. Stack them all up and then clip them with some sort of clips. I use just some binder clips. And then you want to take some type of contraption like an awl, which kind of looks like an ice pick, is for upholstery work. Or you could even take a nail and a hammer. That's how I did the first one that I did. And you want to make some evenly spaced holes. I probably put a few too many in here, but that's okay. And then you want to take just a regular needle with some type of thread. You can use wax thread. I'm just using some embroidery floss because that's something that I had on hand, and I just am going to sew the pages together. So to do that, I'm going to start on the inside on this last hole here. I'm going to pull this through, and hopefully if you made your holes good enough, this will work. And then I'm going to go into the second hole, and of course now that I'm on camera, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble. And I'm actually just going to weave in and out. You can get complicated. You can do a back stitch. You can do some kind of fancy thing where you work from the middle and work your way out to one side and then to the other side. That's completely up to you. However you would like to do this is fine. And just going to keep on sewing. Sewing, all it is just in and out, right? If you've never sewn before, it's super simple to do something like this. Take your needle in and out. It's kind of like those little lace-up cards that you used to do. Did you do those when you were in like kindergarten or first grade? And you follow the design, and then you have a little lace-up design when you finish. I think the ones that we used look like you were using shoestrings to lace up, I guess, so that the ends of the string wouldn't get frayed. Anyway, so just the in and out motion. Just keep flipping back and forth to make sure you don't miss any holes. I'm sure this is really exciting watching me do this, right? I probably should have one done already. Once you get this done, we're going to make the cover. And yes, you could definitely just paint the outside of this the way that it is. The problem for me, though, is that you would see the string from the outside. And I really didn't like that. And it's just the perfectionist in me that didn't like that. But if it doesn't bother you, then you can just go for it. And you can skip the step of putting something extra on the cover. But it is kind of fun to me to decorate it. Since I already have one, I had to pull my sleeves up there for a second. Since I already have one, I'm actually making this for my mom, but don't tell her because she doesn't know. She'll know when she sees this video, right? But she wanted to do the Illustrated Faith Gratitude Documented as well. And I just think it's fun to have a notebook that has the same amount of pages as the days of the month, so that you don't have a notebook sitting around that has like 100 unused pages in it, because that's kind of annoying to me, at least. And we're almost at the end, so you can stop hearing me ramble. Take off the clip when you get there. And then we're going to tie it off. So to do that, I'm just going to do a little knot. Once again, you could probably get fancy, but I'm not about that fancy life tonight. And there are ways, if you were to search on Pinterest, there are actual ways that they can show you, or that some people have tutorials for, excuse me, that actually show you how to do some type of book binding. where you could get all complicated. I'm getting stuck on my button clip over here. I do a couple of knots just because I kind of made the holes big with the awl, and I want to make sure that my string doesn't come through. If you hear talking, that's my husband talking on the phone in the background, probably about football, because he is a football lover. Let me get some of my mess out of the way here. I'm going to take my clips off now, and you can see that I now have a working journal. See? Just fold that down. Yes, the pages are going to look like this. Now you can trim that off with a paper cutter. Mine I kept like that. It didn't really bother me too much, which is kind of weird since I am a perfectionist, but it didn't. And then you want to select the paper that you want to use for your cover. Let me grab mine over here. I decided I wanted to use this pretty blue. And you just want to take, let's see, this is the right side of the paper. I know you can't really tell, but there's a weave to it. So I'm going to put my journal, let me get up so I can get a good little bit of leverage here. And you're going to line this up as straight as you can. Excuse my head in the shot. As straight as you can, and then just trace around the edge. I'm going to use my paper cutter for this instead of trying to use scissors, because I want to make sure that it's as straight as possible, and with scissors that's probably not going to happen. So let me sit this here for a second and get my paper cutter. I've actually been doing some illustrated faith, well, I say illustrated faith, some Bible journaling nights at different churches, and I got the paper cutter so that I could have it for cutting cardstock to fit in people's Bibles, because some people don't have journaling Bibles yet, but they want to try illustrating their faith, and so having cardstock that they can cut to fit their Bibles, they still feel like they're participating and not just being left out when everybody else is having fun in their Bibles. Okay, so that's cut. Move that little swiggly piece right there. I don't think swiggly is a word, but we're going to make it one tonight. So now we have our paper, and I'm going to take just some regular Mod Podge, if I can get it open, and I'm actually going to take a piece of wax paper because I use this poster board for other things, and I'm going to take a foam brush and just put Mod Podge all over this piece of paper. Now, one thing to note is that Mod Podge can make your pages wrinkle up. You just have to be really careful and get an even coat, and just make sure that you put the paper on as smoothly as possible. And the thing about the cardstock is it's easy to get, I guess, kind of damp would be the word. And when that happens, it's easier to get the pages to adhere to one another, so we have less bubbles that way. Okay, so it looks like I have pretty good coverage. If you feel like you don't have some in a place, just go back over it. It's fine, it's not a big deal. And of course, you don't want to wait too long for this to dry so that you have a big mess. So put that like that. I don't want to get Mod Podge all over the front in different pieces of my journal. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this like so. I'm going to try my best to line this up without making a huge mess. I think that's about right. Just kind of slide it as you go to get all the wrinkles out. Sorry if I'm getting my head in the shot, y'all. I might not have done that exactly right, but we can always trim it if we need to. Then, of course, I'm going to fold it down and just press as hard as I can. You can always take a credit card and slide it on it if you wanted to, just to make sure, sorry the camera's shaking, just to make sure that it was completely smushed down. Alright, if I were going to let this dry, which I can't because I got to show y'all how to finish it, but if I were to let it dry, I would probably put some heavy books on top of it just to make sure that it didn't wrinkle and that I didn't end up with the mess. But since I'm talking to you guys and trying to show you how to do this really quickly, I'm going to move on to the next step. So I took another piece of scrapbook paper. This is yellow. This is the same as the blue. It has a little bit of a weave. And I used a gold Sharpie to put some dots. And I hand lettered Wow God with a black Sharpie. And then I used a Faber-Castell brush pen to put some shadow on it blue. And I think I'm going to do it kind of like this in the middle. Put some glue on the back. I'm going to use washi too. You could use scrapbook adhesive, double-sided, if you would like. I couldn't find mine, honestly. I know I used it because I used it for a post not too long ago. And I actually cleaned up my craft room and I still can't find it. So it'll show up when I don't need it anymore. That's usually how that works, isn't it? So I'm going to put this right about here and press it down. Then I'm going to take some green washi and find the end of it. And I'm going to tear a little bit of this off. And once again, I apologize for the husband talking, if you can hear him. Hopefully you can't, but if you can, sorry, have the door closed, but he gets excited about football. I'm going to press this down like that. If you had the scrapbook adhesive, it would stay down a little bit better than it did with the tape. But that's what I have right now. Then I had these, I took some watercolor paper and I used a Tim Holtz Sizzix die that I have that comes with an embossing folder, and I cut the feathers. I actually used some distress ink to put a design on the feathers, really cool little design. And then I cut the watercolor paper that I used the distress ink on with the Sizzix die, the Tim Holtz feathers. It's like the Feather Duo, I think is the name of it. And then I used the embossing folder that came with it, and I made these cool little feathers. So I'm going to place them, I don't know, something like that I think will look kind of cool. And to do that, I'm going to take some more glue. Put this on the back. I used, you can see kind of how it's raised up and embossed like this. So I'm putting glue on the embossing part. And I'm going to do this like here, I think. Maybe more a little bit like this. And down here. I'm going to press it down. And it does look purple, but it's the school glue that that dries clear. I actually use this glue in my Bible when I'm putting embellishments in my Bible, and I like it. It did start coming, some of the pieces of my feathers that I put on my journal started coming up a little bit, but you can always do a little something else on top. I want to put some 3D stuff on mine, but I knew that if I did that when I was working on my pages, they wouldn't lay down flat, so I thought I better wait for that. So let's put this one here. I think I'm going to do it kind of like that right there. And once again, I would probably put a heavy book on this. Since this is the watercolor paper, it's a little bit thicker than the first feathers that I used. I think it would be cool to have a little bow right here maybe, or a rhinestone, or a little flower. But once again, if you do that before you finish working on your journal pages, it's not gonna lay flat when you're trying to work on it. So anyway, this is the finished journal. You could always embellish it some more. You could make a tassel paper clip. You could do something else to make these feathers stick a little bit better. I'll work on that later after I finish the video. But now you would have 30 pages for the 30 days in November to illustrate your gratitude that you feel. Make sure that you head over to illustratedfaith.com and sign up for the newsletter so that you can get the prompts, or check out the Illustrated Faith Facebook page because they have the prompts as well. It's really cool because, like, for the first day, of course, the first thing to be thankful for was Jesus, and it came with a verse about that, and then you would journal that, and then you continue. So you can see two different versions of the little journal that I've made. I think my mom's going to enjoy this so she can work on hers. Maybe I'll even work on her a little tassel as well. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me tonight, guys. Sorry for any not sticky stuff or the voices in the background, but hopefully this shows you how to easily make a journal, and I hope you're able to make one and enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying mine during the month of November. Have a great day, guys. Bye.